Hello and welcome to the Perth Blue Baggers pod. My name is Louis, your host.
And I'm Marty on special comments.
So today we'll be reviewing the terrible loss against Port Adelaide and then previewing our round 17 clash with Collingwood. So this is not going to be a fun one. But let's get into it. Into your honest thoughts. Whatever.
Well, in some games, many games, I think this season, we've been competitive for the first half before falling away.
Yeah.
But I think that's better than what we saw on Thursday night, which was just awful. And it was so bad that, by the half-time the game was over, effectively. To be 5-0 in the first quarter and 8-1 at the end of the second quarter. We probably had, first 3 or 4 minutes was okay. We held them, and then it was just rubbish after that.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that the boys would respond because they've been under a lot of pressure this past week, and a lot of questions about Vossi as coach, and the players were all saying they're right behind him, and they're gonna they know what they need to do, all of those things, but it was just cheap talk, unfortunately.
Yep.
We didn't see anything different. In fact, I think we did see something different. We saw stuff that was worse. Not better, worse. Just the lack of chase, lack of effort.
So many missed tackles.
Poor efficiency with the ball going forward.
Yep.
Very little fluency in linking up. It was, I think you had to wait a long time to see anything inspiring. I think you probably saw in the last quarter, I think we kicked a few goals in a row. And then that's about the only thing. I suppose the last two games we've been awful, but our last quarter's added a tiny skerrick of respectability to the scoreline. But really, we probably should have lost by 10 goals the way we played. Really, it was pretty abysmal, and it's hard to find many winners in the day.
Yeah. So honestly, normally on our usual 5-4-3-2-1 votes, we'd give. It'd be hard. It would be hard to find people that actually deserve it. No doubt today was hard, and I don't think even the ones that we did find probably would usually get votes. Even if this performance that they did. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do think. I mean, normally there's a few people put up their hands. I mean, it really wasn't that many people you could single out who had a good game.
Yeah.
Look, we might move to the players, and this might be a slightly shorter episode at this rate.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's better to say not much rather than anyway. So look, I thought Nick Haynes was pretty good actually.
Yeah.
And he can hang his head high. He's one of those few players that really genuinely, stood up and were counted. And he probably was one guy you looked at and you go on, I think he can walk off the ground, and pretty happy with how he did,
Yeah.
But I mean, there really wasn't a lot of others that you could say. Just on the Haynes, 18 touches overall. I think that 6 intercept positions, 8 marks.
3 of which were intercepts.
5 score involvements. I think 6 spoils. He was doing some things. I think Haynes has been a pretty good pickup. He had a couple of down games recently, but overall he's been very good. And he'd been the best 5 or 6 players most weeks.
Yeah.
I'd say. So I mean, not bad for a guy who was supposedly washed up.
Yeah.
He's probably outshone some of the other players. Really. Look, I suppose Georgie Hewitt. I didn't think he had the impact that he's had in other games, but look, he always tries. He always puts effort in. He had 21 touches, which was the most anyone in Carlton had. I think it was 11 contested balls, and that's not bad. he had 9 tackles, the most of anyone on the ground. At least he's working hard and tackling. There was too many missed tackles, like you said. I think he had 25 pressure acts.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't always clean with the ball. I think he turned the ball over once or twice, a few times.
Yeah.
5 clearances, 3 inside 50s. That still shows that he's working hard. He's throwing himself into it. He's doing the best that he can. So, George Hewitt for mine, probably the leader in our best and fairest at the moment.
Yeah,
I'd say. Ollie Hollands, not a great stat sheet, but like we've said many times, Ollie Hollands gives you a lot of effort. He occasionally frustrates you, but he gives you a lot of effort. And on a day like this, when a lot of his teammates didn't give enough effort, I think I'll give him 3. Look, I thought Orazio was reasonably lively.
Yeah.
I know his 2 goals came very late in the piece, but I think he brought energy. I thought since coming back in the last few weeks, he's probably shown as much or more energy than most of the other forwards. So I think I'll give him some recognition for that. Likewise, Zach Williams popped up, did a few useful things. I think he had 5 clearances. I think we should pinch hit with him in the centre at times.
Yeah.
He does add a bit of speed and everything. So I thought he wasn't too bad either. So he's probably the one other guy that I'll give a point to.
He had 10 centre bounces, I think. 10 to 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not too bad to have to have 5 clearances out of that.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, mine are exactly the same. So that might be
really?
the first time ever we'd actually
I
had
don't think that normally happens.
No.
Yeah.
But there is no underrated.
Look, I had Billy Wilson.
What's B&B?
Best new player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Billy Wilson. Only because, he's worked very hard on the Magoos to get into the team. Hats off to him and Flynn Young for having a crack. I don't think either of them had a big impact. Look, but, they're playing their first game of AFL footy.
Billy only had 63% time on ground and then got some calf issue.
Yeah.
So that hampered his progress.
So not a big impact, but I'm going to give him an underrated award just because he got on the field, and I hope that his calf heals and hope we see a little bit more of him.
Yep. Anything else? Any other statistics? Maybe 11 ground balls for Zach Williams is also impressive. Ground ball gets. Hollands had 89% disposal efficiency. A lot of people have had a go at him for misusing the ball. I don't think quite did that.
He hasn't always been the best with the ball, but no, he definitely that's not bad efficiency.
Yep. 8 score involvements, that's great. 4 rebound 50s, 32 pressure acts. To get 89% disposal efficiency, he had 16 effective disposals. That's good. Anything else? Well, no, we kind of went through all the stats for them. Yeah, so not a whole lot of excitement there, and probably the most underwhelming votes we've given out. Not a whole lot to add. So, unless you've got anything else to add about the game, we go into the preview.
Well, no, I'll throw something else in that's a little bit different this time.
Okay.
Because I want to focus on something that's slightly positive, because we've just had a lot of negative results here, and our Magoos aren't doing too bad at the moment. So
they could make finals, I don't know.
They could make finals, and for given they had a slow start, I think they've been all right, and they hung on for a tight win in the VFL. And there's some players coming through with a bit of talent here. So I might just mention a couple of blokes that you might see on the field again. I don't think Ben Camperelli is far away from a debut.
No.
It's great to see the son of a gun.
Yeah. Second son of a gun.
Second son of a gun, maybe playing football for us. So I think 22 disposals on the weekend and was one of the 9 tackles. I like a player who can tackle. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see him soon.
Yeah.
Lucas Camperelli's doing some useful things. Lockie Cowan's probably not far away, almost certain to come back. Probably the like-for-like replacement for Sard,
Yeah.
who got injured, got
Carroll
concussed.
also solid, putting a case to it for a recall.
The other thing is, and I haven't been probably his biggest fan, but I'm told best on ground was Francis Evans. Apparently he was sensational.
Yeah,
Apparently
I
he was
did watch a
sensational.
bit of it. He did pop
Yeah.
up in some useful times.
3 goals, 24 touches, 8 tackles, 7 marks. He was all over the place, apparently.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. So, I'm all for giving it's good that he's gone back to the VFL and has really put the effort in. The other fellow apparently has come on after probably a slow start this season. Is Ashton Moyer,
Yeah.
who's playing some good football more
Given
recently.
some more midfield minutes and sort of, I reckon he's got a bit of confidence now.
Kick 4 snags,
Yeah.
and that's what the Magoos are for, give you the confidence that you need. So just watch that space. There's a couple of guys coming through with
You've
a
got
bit of ability.
Charleston, who was one of those
Rookie
recruits. Yeah.
No, I heard good things about
So
him
he
as
had
well.
27 disposals, and that's for a defender, so that's pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive. 7 intercepts, 7 rebound 50s. Yeah. Now there's a couple of guys coming into a bit of. Apparently, Matty Carroll played well after getting dropped. So there's a couple of players coming into a bit of form in the twos.
And don't forget about Lemmy. He didn't have a lot of touches, but still kicked 3 crucial goals.
Oh, Lemmy's in his VFL form was very good.
Yeah.
He can't be far away from a crack either. So anyway, I just don't know if you're going to bring a lot of those guys in against Collingwood.
Nah.
But I mean, I would have given. There was probably an argument for a couple of them when we were playing West Coast or North. But anyway, maybe they'll get a go now that it's unlikely we're going to play finals. Of course, maybe it's the time. I think we're probably going to see at least Cowan in Facade, but given how we played, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of changes.
Yeah.
More changes than that. So watch that space.
Yes. Actually, but first, maybe we'll just discuss some things that are big talking points, certainly to do with Voss's tenure and the overall playing group. So anything any opinions you'd like to address?
Well, firstly, I think you assess the position of the coach, the assistant coaches, and then the players, and a lot of the other people in the football department. You assess them all at the end of the season. So that's when you've seen the full body of work.
Yeah.
So the remainder of the games this season are about everyone involved proving themselves, showing us what they've got. So I think that's let's not be premature and stupid. Nothing is to be gained by radical changes right now.
Yeah.
However, clearly what we've seen dished up is unacceptable from the football point of view, and there does need to be significant changes. Sometimes from the outside, there's a lot of people with opinions and views, but sometimes from the outside, you don't see everything that they see on the inside. So do we know for, there's a saying that Voss has lost the players or whatever. How would we really know? I mean, obviously they haven't performed very well this last game, but you don't really know that unless you're in the inner sanctum and seeing, his actual relationship with players. All the players say that they're really behind him, they like playing for him, all of those things. So they say all the right things, but unfortunately we're just not seeing the results on the ground. And I think that the thing that every fan dislikes the most, I reckon, when it comes to the club they support is lack of effort.
Yeah.
And in the first half, we saw a lack of effort. So you kind of accept if you're not as good as the other team, you never accept that your team don't put in effort. I think that's the non-negotiable for mine. So I think that he needs to get harder on the players that are not putting the effort in.
Yeah.
And if you're not putting the effort in, go and play twos. Go and play in the VFL and come back when you are putting the effort in.
And as we discussed, there's plenty of players waiting in the wings.
That's
now,
right. So that's my view. Look, clearly there are some gaps in the list. We've got some good contested ball winners, but we don't have as many good runners as we should.
Yeah.
So the ones that are getting uncontested possessions, running to space, using the ball well. Where Jagger Smith get injured for the year and Matthew Cottrell, two of our, Cottrell we know is one of our best runners.
Yeah.
That was the role Jagger was supposed to play, etc. I'm not blaming injuries. I'm just saying we don't have enough of those guys.
Yeah.
I think that probably we need, that's an area and a gap, clearly. We're not moving the ball well. On the rare occasions, if you look at the rare occasions in a game when we're on top, and the last two games it's been in the fourth quarter, it's when we've moved the ball well.
Yep.
So we can do it. We just tend to do it only in small bursts. We saw them, when we watched them live, West Coast versus Carlton. The first quarter we moved the ball superbly. After that, it was really stop-start. So I think that's obviously one issue. One of the reasons why we're not doing well going inside 50, we've got such a poor record, is when you don't move the ball effectively, the other team gets back.
Yeah.
So if we're able to move the ball clinically and fast, so speed is one thing, but also hitting your targets and execution is another. There's no point in being running very fast if you turn the ball over.
Yeah.
So I think that's another. Execution has been a clear problem for us as well. So, we've got a number of really clear issues. Are we a bit defensive minded? There's been a hint of that at times.
Certainly when we kick back every time.
Yeah. I think we're probably at times played it a bit soft, a bit soft, not soft, but a bit safe.
Yeah.
So I think that's a bit of an issue as well.
But you see there has been an improvement where we don't kick down the line as much as what we used to. Which is good.
And this is the thing, right? We don't want people just kicking backwards and sideways, but we also don't want them just kicking down the line.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be better linking up. You look at the teams that do this well, they take on their opposition. They run in numbers and they hand pass to each other and then they kick into space,
Yes.
and they back their players to run onto it. And they do all that pretty quickly. And that's why they're getting a lot of one-on-ones and the like, and we don't get enough of that. We've got two of the best forwards in the game, but how often are they getting the opportunity to go one-on-one? I mean, let's face it, Charlie's not in great form at the moment anyway, and Harry's out injured. And our small forwards are not probably delivering enough on the whole. So, we don't have really good targets at the moment, generally.
And
our best forwards for the last couple of games, not necessarily this game against Port, but was last two games before that was Mitch McGovern.
Yeah.
Doesn't bode well when a normal defender is our best forward.
I think we really missed Harry, especially going down the line, because he's a good contested mark. So I still feel like we can't trade any of Charlie or Harry.
Well, Harry in particular is not just a conventional forward. He's not just he actually at tough points in the game becomes a target for you because you've nailed it. You can kick down the line to him.
Yeah.
And he'll do two things. He'll either take the mark or he'll get the ball to ground and create a 50-50 for you.
Yeah.
So, we have missed him. I mean, I do want to be a bit careful, though, about blaming injuries. I don't think this time around. Last season, we had a lot of injuries late in the season. Maybe 15 or 16 injuries at one stage. We've got injuries, but have we got a lot more injuries than other clubs?
Not Essendon.
Yeah.
Would not like to be in their shoes at the moment.
Yeah. So I don't think we can just blame injuries. Yes, they haven't helped, but a lot of clubs have injuries. And we've got to also get away from that mentality of blaming injuries. I think we lack some depth in the real positions. I would like to have one or two more midfielders that will really fly the flag and run through the midfield. Obviously, we lack depth in forwards. That's been discussed plenty of times. So, there is absolutely scope for a couple of those younger players to step up.
We have too many small forwards. Like no one's producing as much. Maybe Zach Williams is the best of them, but we have so much stock there clogging up the list.
Well, it's hard to find
Some will go.
a single small forward has had a big impact week after week. And I suppose that's the nature of small forwards anyway, is that they don't tend to do that as much. but I think you'd be struggling to find many.
Well, they're going to have to play for their lives come the end of the season.
Yeah, what you've had in the small forwards is most of those forwards have had a week or two where they've done well, but they haven't put together a string enough.
No.
I mean, we just said Orazio was pretty good. He was injured a good part of the season. Zach Williams is pretty lively, but he can float in and out of games sometimes. Jesse Motlett's mostly had a pretty lean season, but it's had some moments.
Yeah.
He has had some moments. Will White showed a bit of promise, but probably not the consistency that we would have liked. Same with Durden.
Yeah.
It's none of those guys have taken the opportunity and really grasped it and ran with it.
And they all had a chance. It's not like we gave them one or
they've
two
all had
games.
plenty of chances.
Yeah.
Plenty of chances, definitely. Yeah. So I don't think they could say that. Yeah. So look, I think that's all a challenge. I think we've got a fair idea about where those shortcomings are, and like I said, it's at the end of the season is when the big calls need to be made.
Yeah.
So let's watch the remainder of the games.
I think some of those with injury might cop it. As a delisting maybe. I don't know, and they might be seen as...
Well, last season I think there was a sense of frustration last season that we'd had so many injuries year after year. And two of the guys that had talent but were getting injured all the time, and Caleb Marchbank and Cunningham.
And Martin.
Martin. Actually, there you go. There's another one. Three guys who were injured all the time got the flick.
Yeah.
From the list. They got delisted. So that did actually happen last year.
So you got to give Austin the credit there.
Yeah. No,
I don't think I reckon he's been good. Austin. Maybe I'm not sure about Lloyd, the head of football.
I don't know enough about their roles.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about their roles. They're not outward facing roles. They are roles. Austin is responsible for the list, yes, and clearly it's got some good things on it and some gaps. So he's got some work to do there. There's some discussion that losing TDK might allow us to have a first round draft pick because we don't have one at the moment.
Yeah.
Who knows? I guess we'll see about that. Again, I wouldn't mind just sort of seeing how that goes. No point in talking about players going and coming when there's still another 7 or 8 games left.
Yeah.
Let's play those games first and then see. But I'd expect a fair turnover of the list and some changes to the football department.
Yeah, great. Both. I think there's been a bit too much. There's going to be too much pressure on Graham Wright to make big decisions or whatever. I think you need to calm yourself and don't. I think he's overrated.
Well, I'm not saying he's overrated. He's been fairly successful in other places. I think he's spent time at Collingwood and Brisbane, two of the most successful clubs going around at the moment.
They'll probably conduct some sort of review, whether it's external or internal.
I just think he needs to make careful, considered decisions.
Yeah.
In the cold light of day, not just emotional reactions to poor performances.
Which apparently he doesn't do that.
Yeah, I think that he was probably, from what we hear, sounds like the right sort of guy for the job.
Yeah.
Coming in at the right time.
Just in time. Imagine if we got him later, it wouldn't have been much good. Well, that was very informative and deep discussions there. Probably something we'd probably leave to the review of the season, but
I think we normally wouldn't be going to that much detail at this stage of the season.
But I don't know, it's just feels like it's time to talk about that. We won't go into who should be delisted, whatever. But let's get into a preview against the Filth, which we hate very much, but I'm not sure if I actually will have so much passion to hate on them this next game.
Oh, look, I'll still be barracking for it vociferously. Don't worry about that. Oh, look, I think the Dacos boys, they're one to watch, of course. Nick Dacos is pretty hard to tag, pretty impossible to stop. Be interesting to see if someone like Chincotta goes to him. I think he's gone to him before.
Doesn't work. Nick Dacos is so good at shaking shaking off the tags.
I think there's a role for being a nuisance. I think, and it suits Chincotta because you know what else it does? When he does a good tagging role, it brings him to the ball.
Yeah.
I think he's almost a bit lost when he's not tagging. I think he needs a good player to bring into the ball, and then he's in the contest, and he's in the middle of it all.
Who was he even tagging in Port?
I don't know.
I don't think he was. No, he was tagging Butters.
Butters, was it?
But Butters absolutely dominated.
Well, set him a task.
And there was one instance when Butters fooled him, went off, pretended to go off to the bench. Chincotta went off to the bench, and then he turned around, Butters, and kind of fooled everyone.
Well, look, I think we kind of know what we're going to get.
Dacos will do that.
We know what we're going to get with Collingwood. We're going to get a pretty well-oiled team, a team that knows how to move the ball quickly. A team that will punish us when we turn the ball over. So a team that will take their chances. I do think a team, Carlton needs to fly the flag. Of course, for every passionate Carlton fan, the worst case scenario is when we're horribly out of form and we're taking on Collingwood when they're at the peak of their powers. It's the last thing we feel. I think there's a certain, because of all the teams you wouldn't want to get flogged by, it's Collingwood, isn't it? And I tell you what, Voss would know this as well.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that Carlton fans would hate, it's getting flogged by Collingwood. And the players should know this too. They know all about the rivalry. So they've got to come ready to play. That first half just simply wasn't good enough. So I think what we certainly expect, even if we don't get the win and the 4 points, we certainly expect a close, tight tussle.
Yeah.
We want to be very competitive. I want to see us competitive for 4 quarters, even if we don't win. Of course it'd be nice to win. I'm not predicting it, but it'd be nice. But I just wouldn't want to see us give up.
It does always seem to be a close one, at least.
Well, the last few matches have been pretty close, and we probably, we've dropped a few of the close ones, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which is never pleasant. But I still remember in 23 we had that close win. So anyway, well, I guess we'll see. Let's see how we go. They're not going to give us any free kicks. Don't worry about that. They're going to be pretty hard opponent.
Yeah. So no better time for a response than against the filth. I cannot say
the old enemy.
Yeah, I struggle to say the word Collingwood. So it's going to be a big watch and on the biggest of stages. And our next month is on the biggest of stage. They're all primetime matches.
Absolutely.
It's going to be brutal if we keep losing them and be the stupid front headline of every after game morning. It's going to be very demoralising. And no doubt maybe more graffiti on the wall too. Which we do not like.
No. Come on, guys. Get your act together. Don't be an embarrassment to the club.
It just gives Collingwood fans more fuel to laugh at. And don't do anything stupid. Don't bring guns into the stadium like last time. Remember that story?
Oh, yeah.
Don't get into unnecessary fights. Just mind your own business. Support Carlton. Forget about them. Forget they even exist. And just we're buying in. Will the players? I don't know. But we better see a response, and no better time for a response against the old enemy.
All right. So what are we ticking? Blues by 10 goals?
Good one. I think if we are to win it, it will be close. Delusion always brings the best out of me, so I'm going to say by 8 points. And maybe I keep saying this, Charlie Kerr's going to bounce back. Over Darcy Moore.
He'd have to produce something a bit different to what we're seeing lately. I reckon Zach Williams is going to pop up and kick 2 or 3 and put on a bit of a show.
Okay, that's solid. Maybe even a Crips rejuvenated as well. Who knows? Well, thank you for tuning in. Probably was a bit of an underwhelming episode as well. We tried our best. We delved into a lot of issues. Very informative. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Catch you soon. Up the baggers.
Go on the Blues.